Okay.
Let her do her reading now, because that's what the court reporter does.
I'm sorry?
Let her do her reading, because that's what the court reporter does.
I'm going to do the statement I need to do from the court rule for the video. So this is a notice of deposition that was originally scheduled for October 28th, 2016. Today is October 24, 2016, with the deposition being rescheduled. Given that I understand, Ms. Sykes, you're going to be on vacation later this week. Presuming this deposition concludes, I will release the subpoena so you don't need to appear and you can enjoy your vacation. We are doing the video deposition, and today is October 24, 2016 at 11:11 a.m. This is the case of innocent until proven guilty versus Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff, file number 16-777-CZ, and it's before the Washtenaw County Trial Court, which is the circuit court in this jurisdiction. In the room is myself, Philip Ellison, as counsel for plaintiff. We also have Ms. Cynthia Reach, counsel for the defendant, Office of the Sheriff, as well as Ms. Sykes, the deponent, and we have the court reporter as well. And this deposition is being visually recorded. If you can go ahead and swear the witness.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Can we go ahead and have you say your full legal name on the record and spell your last name?
Heather Leah, Leah, Sykes, Sykes.
And what is your current position?
I am the office specialist in records, and I process Freedom of Information requests for the Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Are you a sworn law enforcement officer?
No.
Okay. So you're administrative staff?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been the FOIA coordinator for?
I believe it's been about 5 years.
Have you been a FOIA coordinator with anybody else, any other public bodies before becoming a FOIA coordinator at the Sheriff's Office in Washtenaw County?
No.
All right. As part of your duties as a FOIA coordinator, did you have any training or classes or on-the-job experience that would permit you to know what's involved with being a FOIA coordinator?
Yes,
Okay.
all of those.
What are those?
I've had training, on-the-job training. I've also been to, I think 2 or 3 FOIA classes. I think that's about it.
Okay. When you say classes, what kind of classes have you taken?
There's one that was put on by LORMA, which is law enforcement. Yeah, I can't remember now what it all is.
L-E-R?
Learm. I could look at it. I can't remember.
That's fine. That's fine.
And it's all part of the state of Michigan that was hosted by state of Michigan FOIA coordinator, the HUD person for Michigan State Police.
Okay.
And she taught the class, and I've been to 2 of her classes. Oh, I've been to 3 classes because I went to one up north also.
Okay, what's the second one then?
It's the same thing. It's
Same
just
thing.
different.
Okay.
No, different.
Did you take any of these classes before assuming the position of FOIA coordinator with the Sheriff's Office?
No.
Okay, so these have been, as they've come up and have been available, you've taken them as part of your 5 years at Washtenaw Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to give you, we're going to kind of walk through your deposition, or excuse me, your affidavit that you executed in here. I want to just make sure, take a look at what's been pre-marked as Exhibit K. Looking at Exhibit K, if you could flip to page 2 right there. Just want to make sure that's your signature, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope, fair enough, fair enough. I said we're going to get at least once here. This is an affidavit that you just said you signed.
Yes.
Okay, and did you review this affidavit before it was signed?
Yes.
Okay, and everything that's in this affidavit is true and accurate at the time you signed it?
Yes.
All right. Looking at the paragraph 1, you indicate that you're a community service officer for the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office. What is a community service officer?
A fancy name for a person that works in the office.
Okay. Okay. All right. In addition to I guess let me ask this way. In addition to being the FOIA coordinator, what other duties do you have at the Sheriff's Office?
I work in the records office, so we release reports to citizens that have like their house broken into, or crash reports, answer phones.
Like the UD-10s and things like
Yeah.
that? Yeah, okay. And so FOIA, being the FOIA coordinator is, I mean, one aspect of your records related job.
Yes.
Okay, anything, if we set aside records for a second, anything to do with records, whether it's FOIA or otherwise, do you have any other aspect of your job that you do as a community service officer?
No.
All right. And you indicated earlier that you've been the FOIA coordinator for 5 years. Is the person that holds the community service officer job, is that typically the FOIA coordinator?
No. It used to be an office specialist, and they changed us all to CS, or community service officers, a few years ago.
Okay.
So they just changed the title, basically.
Okay. Were you a community service officer when you first became the FOIA coordinator?
No.
All right, so that title changed after you were the FOIA coordinator, correct?
Yes.
All right, fair enough. All right, looking at paragraph 2, it's you, in your affidavit you state, I am the designated FOIA coordinator for the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office. How did you become the designated FOIA coordinator?
No one else wanted to do it, to be honest.
Typical answer I hear, but sure. Who designated you that?
Judy Kramer from Corporate Counsel.
Did forgive me, I meant to look up your sheriff's name in this jurisdiction. What's your sheriff's name?
Jerry Clayton.
Jerry, that's right. Did Jerry Clayton have anything to do with the appointment, your appointment as FOIA coordinator?
I don't believe so.
All right. I guess let me ask this. Do you know for certain he didn't, or you just don't know one way or the other?
I don't know one way or the other.
All right, fair enough. And when you say corporation counsel, I think is what you said, that's for the council for the Washtenaw County as a whole?
Yes.
All right. Did you have any special, was there a vote of the Board of Commissioners in any way to name you the FOIA coordinator?
I don't believe there was a vote. They just have to appoint me. Okay. So there's like a written letter, I believe.
Okay. Do you know of a vote that occurred, or is it just...
I don't know.
All right, fair enough. And like I said, like I mentioned before, if you don't know, there's no negative points for not knowing an answer here today. I only want to know what you know. Okay. Do you know who served as your FOIA coordinator before you?
Roxy Hawker.
Hawker?
Hawker.
You know how to spell that by chance?
I'm not sure.
That's fine. All right. Do you know how long she was? I assume it was this she?
Yeah.
How long was she the FOIA coordinator? If you know?
Not long.
Do you know the one before that?
Martha Osborne.
Do you know approximately how long she was the FOIA coordinator?
I think over 20 years.
All right.
I'm not sure exact numbers.
Long term though, you would agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if we kind of take out Roxy's stint as the FOIA coordinator, it's basically been you and Martha then for the last number of years?
Yes.
All right. Does Martha still work for the sheriff's office?
No.
Is she retired?
Yes.
Do you know when she retired?
Probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
All right. Just to be sure, today, you, at the time you signed this affidavit, you said you're the FOIA coordinator. Are you still the FOIA coordinator today?
Yes.
All right. All right. I'm going to have you look on Exhibit K right there. On the bottom of Exhibit K, I've marked with different page numbers so that we can, in the middle of the bottom of the page.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like you to flip over, if you could, to page 3 of Exhibit K. Looking at Exhibit K, page 3, I believe this looks to me to be a FOIA request made by Innocent Until Proven Guilty, LLC. Is this the copy that you received at your office?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, okay. And I notice on the top there's a handwritten that says received 8/5/16. Is
Yes.
that your handwriting?
No.
Okay. Is that typical that a date would be written on when the document was received?
Yes.
All right.
If it doesn't come by fax and already documented.
Gotcha. Okay. Did you know how this came to the sheriff's office? If you know.
I don't know for sure.
Okay. But you would be that when it says Dear FOIA Coordinator, that would be directing a request to you, correct?
Yes.
All right. What did you understand this FOIA request to be seeking?
Mugshots.
All right. And as I understand mugshots, and to see if you agree with me, just to kind of short circuit this, mugshots are what I understand are booking photographs taken at a time a person is arrested, but normally before they've been charged with a crime, or but what could perhaps be after they've been charged with a crime.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. And are those records kept electronically at the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office?
I believe yes.
All right. I guess to make it real short, the records exist, correct, somewhere in the Washtenaw Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
All right. Now I'm looking right here is the I guess second full paragraph, the one that's indented on Exhibit K, page 3. It seeks electronic copies of mugshots, aka booking photographs of persons arrested and/or charged from 7/18/2016 to 8/01/2016, along with their corresponding full name, proposed/actual criminal charges, and/or reasons for arrest.
You know what, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
That's not 1 month, and that's my fault on her affidavit. I think I drafted it to say 1 month. I think that's like I don't know, I'm guessing a 2-week period.
It's looking to me like a 2-week period.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough, and I recognize that. And that's I'm not going to hold that to be a major issue here.
Thank you.
I guess what I just want to make sure to understand is it is possible for you as a FOIA coordinator to retrieve mugshots during this relevant time period, correct?
Yes.
All right. And they could be produced if the judge ordered you to produce them, correct?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yeah. The answer before I got finished. Thank you. I appreciate that. Did you ever, as part of your job as a FOIA coordinator, calculate what the cost would be to fulfill this FOIA request?
No.
Have you today, and at the time or even today?
No.
All right, fair enough. And it is possible to produce this information in electronic form?
I'm not positive. They're on electronic, but it's hard to save from the program they're in. So I don't know if they would save electronic or not.
Okay. All right. All right. Looking at page 3, it's of Exhibit K. The FOIA request is, at least on the top as I read it, is directed to the FOIA coordinator, Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
Yes. No, that's fine. That's fine. We'll do it a number of times. That's not a problem at all. As I understand, that the sheriff's office has a separate FOIA coordinator than the county as a whole. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and there is a separate FOIA coordinator that would handle basically non-sheriff's office related FOIA requests, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, do you know who that is?
I'm not sure what her name is.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But there is somebody else though, you would agree?
Yeah, I think there's 3 FOIA people in Washtenaw County, but I'm not positive on that.
All right. But this request was routed to you, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Anything for the sheriff's office would go to me.
All right. Is it normal, as part of your duties as a FOIA coordinator, to get requests to address to the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department or Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
And have you ever rejected a FOIA request because it was addressed to the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office or the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department?
No.
Typical, and I'm going to ask you, I know you're not going to know this answer with exact detail, but approximately how many FOIA requests do you receive in a given month? I mean, are we talking 10, are we talking 100, are we talking 1,000?
No. Probably 40, maybe.
You say 40 per month?
Yes.
And I understand that you're just estimating.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to get a feel for the scope of how many requests that are given. So in a typical year, you're looking at between 400 and 500 requests at the sheriff's office.
Yes.
All right. You could flip the page over to page number 4. This is what I understand to be the FOIA response by the sheriff's office back to my client, Innocent Until Proven Guilty LLC. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And I see at the bottom it says processed by Heather Sykes, and I assume that's you.
Yes.
And that's a date. Is that the date that the FOIA request was, or excuse me, the FOIA response was issued by you?
Yes.
I understand it that way too, because I didn't see a date anywhere else.
Yeah, it's on the cover page too, so I was just making sure that it matched up.
Okay. When you have a cover page, if you could flip to the last page, page number 7, when you just reference the cover page, is that what you're referencing?
Yes.
All right. And again, that's just for the record, that's page 7 of Exhibit K. Looking at, we're back on page 4. Looking at the document here, it looks to be a standard form you use as part of your response process.
Yes.
And you've checked a box number D, correct?
Yes.
And number D, as I read it, the request is denied. It's been essentially, to shortcut it, it's been deemed exempt. Okay.
Yes.
We would agree?
Yeah.
All right. Now, looking at this request, as I understand it, and see if you agree with me, would be is that under Michigan FOIA law, and you as a FOIA coordinator applying that law, there are a number of exemptions that a public body could assert to not release the documents to the requester. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. And in this case, you have determined that one or more of these exemptions applied to warrant the non-disclosure of that information, correct?
Yes.
All right. And if we flip over to the next page, I assume this is on the, looking at page number 5 on Exhibit K, I assume this is either like the back of a page of 4? Is that typical?
It should be. I try to print two-sided.
I understand. So I want to make sure I understand with that. So a normal person, or the normal FOIA response would have gotten page 4 on the front page, and then page 5 on the back side of that same piece of paper.
Should have. Yes.
Okay. And then it's just copying because of the lawyers with court here, okay?
Right.
Looking at this, I see most of the check boxes here have things like a little darker box on the inside, but there's a handwritten check mark on the 5th box down. In filing this FOIA response, did you intend to assert that all of these exemptions applied, or just the one with the handwritten X?
Just the handwritten X.
All right. That's how I took it too, but I wanted to make sure, because if you look back on page 4, the boxes are not filled in there with that little brown.
Oh.
Okay, so fair enough. I just wanted to make sure you were only asserting as the FOIA coordinator on August 8th that it was the 5th box down that reads constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy.
Yes.
All right. Now, according to your affidavit, again, if you can flip back onto page 1 of Exhibit K, on paragraph number 2, you start off by saying, I am the designated FOIA coordinator for the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office, and we talked about that. And it goes on to say, and I am the county employee who processed and denied the Freedom of Information Act, parenthesis, quotation, FOIA, quotation mark, parenthesis, request by Innocent Until Proven Guilty, comma, LLC. Looking at if we can flip back then to page 5, where the check marks we were just talking about of Exhibit K, how did you reach the conclusion that the records requested would constitute a unwarranted invasion of personal privacy?
Based on the request, none of the people that would have been in the booking photos had anything to do with each other. It didn't seem to me that this person would be representing any one of these people. So I felt that I needed to protect their identity.
When you say there, meaning the arrestees?
Yes.
Okay. Have you, in your time I think you said about 5 years you've been a FOIA coordinator, have you ever provided a mugshot in response to a FOIA request made?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who you made those FOIA response to, where a mugshot was provided?
Who is and what?
Like who? Fair enough. If and I should have told you before we started. If my questions are bad in any way, feel free. You're not going to hurt my feelings to say, "Hey, try again." Okay. you just mentioned that you have fulfilled FOIA requests in the past where a mugshot was provided in response to a FOIA request, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember who the requester was for any of those requests?
I don't remember a name, but most all of them have been law enforcement, or not, excuse me, not law enforcement, lawyers representing one client, and they want information on their client.
Okay. Do you know, and I know for certain you don't know exactly how many, unless you do, but I would assume you don't know exactly how many mugshots you have provided in the 5 years as a FOIA coordinator. But do you have a guess at all? I mean, are we talking 10, 100, 1,000?
I don't know in the 5 years. In the past year and a half, 'cause we keep our FOIAs for a year plus current.
Sure.
About 22 have gotten a picture as part of their booking jacket, not necessarily requesting a picture of them or a booking photo of them. One request was, of the 22, was for a booking photo. One booking photo.
And did you fulfill those FOIA requests?
Yes.
And when I say fulfill, just to be clear, you provided a copy of the mugshot without invoking any of the exemptions that are provided under the Michigan Freedom of Information Act, correct?
No. Personal information still would have been redacted, like dates of birth, addresses, phone
Okay.
numbers.
I guess let me ask it a different way. You didn't let me ask it a different way. I'm not concerned about, I'm just talking about the photograph itself. Okay, not the information that may be on the same page, but on the photograph itself, did you assert any exemptions as to the photograph itself?
No.
For any of these, you said 22? That correct? So none of the 22 you asserted an exemption?
I don't believe so.
All right. Okay. As to you said the one requested a booking photo. Do you remember who that requester was by chance?
I don't.
All right, fair, and that's fair enough. I wouldn't expect you to anyway. So, I guess let me ask the question: is why would you conclude that the request by my client would have been a invasion of personal privacy for these mugshots, but it would not be an invasion of the privacy of the individuals in these other FOIA requests?
Because the other FOIA requests came from law firms representing one client.
Okay.
This one did not appear that it would be representing a client.
Okay. Is there any sort of written policy or procedure at the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office to deny or grant a FOIA request based on the person who requested it?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Okay. In this case, would you agree that you denied the FOIA request in part because of the identity of the requester being innocent until proven guilty, LLC?
No, I don't believe so. I think just based on what was on this request, there wasn't enough to go on to determine what they would have used this for.
Okay. Is the uses, or let me start over again on that. Let me ask you a little more clear. Is the perceived uses by the FOIA requesters an important factor that you use to determine whether to grant or deny a FOIA request for mugshots?
Yes.
Now, is this based on any sort of policy or procedure at Washtenaw County?
No.
I should say Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office?
No.
Is it based on any particular understanding you have of Michigan law as to the Freedom of Information Act or any other law?
I just go by the Michigan Freedom of Information Act. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, do you have it based on any particular, is there any particular statute or provision in there, any particular sentence or words that you utilize in order to conclude that uses are a factor to determine whether to grant or deny?
It's not black and white though. I took what I had on this request and balanced out giving it out versus not giving it out.
Okay.
And I thought not giving it out was in the better interest of the people that were in these booking photos to a corporation that just had a P.O. box.
Did you attempt to ascertain the identity of Innocent Until Proven Guilty LLC, like what they were about or where they were from or any of these details before, as part of your processing of the FOIA request?
No.
Did you do any kind of search for who the owner or who were any of its principal members were while you were processing this request?
No.
When you decided to check the box that the request made in this instance constituted an unwarranted invasion of privacy, did you consult anyone within the sheriff's office?
No.
And I guess I want to make sure to be clear about this. I guess I want to just see my thinking on this is there's a difference in my mind from someone telling you to do something, giving you an order or a command as part of your job, and you seeking advice from somebody. Okay, and I want to be very clear. I don't want to know any advice that any lawyer told you at all. Okay, because I take privilege very seriously. All right. Did anybody at the sheriff's office command you or direct you to deny this FOIA request?
No.
Okay. On the other side of that spectrum, did you seek any counsel from anybody at the sheriff's office?
Objection asked and answered. Go ahead.
Did you seek any advice or counsel from anyone at the sheriff's office when processing this FOIA request?
No.
All right. So essentially the buck stopped with you then, correct?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Okay. I'd like to show you what was marked by the, and we're going to go back to K, so just leave it sitting right there. I'm just going to set this on top right there. This is a exhibit number N, as in Nancy. There are 4 cases that are listed on that sheet. Do you recognize any of those cases or know what those cases hold? Now, understanding you're not an attorney, I understand that, okay. Do those cases mean anything to you as the FOIA coordinator?
No.
Okay, you can just hand that back then. And to be clear, have you ever read or seen these cases before? Any of the 4 that are on Exhibit N?
No.
All right. And just for the record, Exhibit N list, and I'm just going to give the names, it's Patterson versus Allegan County Sheriff, Detroit Free Press Inc. versus Oakland County Sheriff, Taylor versus Board of Water and Light, and is an ampersand, and Ratajj, R-A-T-A-J versus City of Romulus.
I believe it's rat tie.
Ratajj. If a new decision by the Michigan Court of Appeals, or the Michigan Supreme Court, were to come down about interpreting how an exemption should apply, is there any mechanism right now for you to learn about that as part of your job as a FOIA coordinator at the sheriff's office?
Usually corporate counsel passes down anything new that comes through the pipelines, I guess.
And when you say pass down, and again, I don't want to know what they've told you, if anything at all, okay, but would it be like an email, would it be a letter, would it be a memo?
It could be either of those, a
Any of
memo
those.
or email. Yeah.
Fair enough. Were you aware of the federal decision in the case of, it's called Detroit Free Press, the Detroit, and they're all kind of called Detroit Free Press cases in one way or another, I guess, but this decision from the federal circuit that mugshots are exempt under the federal FOIA, was that something you knew about or considered when you were deciding when you were processing this FOIA response?
No.
All right. Okay. Did you have any first-hand knowledge or evidence at the time you were processing the FOIA request that innocent until proven guilty was attempting or was trying to attempt arrestees to extort them for money in any way?
Did I know they were?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Do you have any inclination that they were?
I assume they probably were.
But you had no first-hand evidence of that, correct?
No.
All right. And did you find any public, they publish, I'm going to make a representation to you, they're a publishing company, okay, they're fairly new. Did you know about their publication at all as part of your decision in making this
No.
FOIA? Let me make sure I get it clear out before you answer.
Sorry.
No, fair enough. Were you aware of their publication or what they do as part of their business operations when you were deciding on whether to deny or grant this FOIA request?
No.
And I guess to kind of short circuit, you didn't know who they were at all, correct?
No.
Was the fact that you didn't know who they were important or a factor in your decision to deny this FOIA request?
No.
I'm going to have you take a look at Exhibit L. And again, leave K right in front of you right there. We're going to get back to that in just a second. Looking at Exhibit L, this is a printout, and I'm making this representation to you. This is a printout from the Washtenaw County website, from the sheriff's portion of the website. And I've highlighted a portion of that that says this form is for making FOIA requests for the Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff. Do you understand, or do you acknowledge that your office is commonly referred to as the Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could look on Exhibit K that's in front of you right there. On page, Exhibit K, page 4. Looking at that, on the across the top of the letterhead, it says there it's as part of your FOIA response, this is on the letterhead of the Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Looking at that, when someone makes a FOIA request to the Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff, do you understand that as a FOIA coordinator to be a request directed to the Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
All right. Would you reject, as the FOIA coordinator, let me strike that, let me start over. As the FOIA coordinator for the Sheriff's Office, if someone made a FOIA request and directed it to the Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff, would you reject that request because that office doesn't exist as a matter of law?
Say that again.
Sure. Looking at, if someone made a FOIA request, handed it to you, okay, this as a hypothetical, handed you a document and said, here's a FOIA request, dear FOIA coordinator of the Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff. Would you reject that request because it wasn't addressed to Washtenaw County as a whole?
Objection calls for speculation. Go
I'm just not sure I understand what you're trying to ask me.
Okay, let me think if I can do this a different way. If a FOIA request is addressed to the Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff, you would fulfill it, correct?
Yes.
All right. Would you assert any claim or any argument at the time that the Sheriff's Office is not responsible for fulfilling FOIA requests?
Can I ask him a question?
ahead. To help understand
Sure.
the question.
Yeah, sure.
So, do you mean like if someone could ask for a police report, but it's not my agency? Is that what you
No,
mean?
no. I guess I want to understand is if someone was to say to you, if the FOIA request came as the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, you'd fulfill the request, correct?
Like if they called this office something else.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's a good yes. That's what I'm shooting for. Yes.
Yes, I would fulfill it.
You would fulfill it. Okay. So I guess I'm going to be clear. So let me make sure the record's clear here. If someone made you a FOIA, and again I'm making a hypothetical, if someone handed you a piece of paper that was a FOIA request and it said, "Dear FOIA coordinator of the Washtenaw County Office of the Sheriff," you would fulfill that request as the FOIA coordinator for the Sheriff's Office.
Yes.
All right. And I apologize if my questions were unclear. Sometimes they don't come out as quite as clear as I hope. So, but by all means, if I'm unclear, feel free to ask. You're not going to insult me in any way. So, all right. Okay. If we could go back onto Exhibit K. Set that aside. Exhibit K, which is the affidavit you have in front of you. We're going to go back to the front there where your language is. Looking at paragraph number 4, it says the Sheriff's Office utilizes its discretion in releasing booking photos where release based on public safety factors outweighs the personal privacy interests of persons in the booking photos. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Okay. What I want to understand, and I'd like you to list for me, is all the public safety factors you utilized and considered in processing this FOIA request?
I don't understand what you mean.
Okay. It says the sheriff's office utilizes its discretion in releasing photographs where release based on public safety factors outweighs the personal privacy interests of persons in the booking photographs. What did you mean when you signed this affidavit and you read it? Okay. What did you understand that statement to say?
She gives an example of why we would release, or we give an example of why we would release an inmate photo.
Okay. I'm not on that sentence yet. I understand that's an example of that, but you list public safety factors. What are those public safety factors, if any?
Objection calls for speculation.
She signed an affidavit saying that she's the FOIA coordinator, and she lists that the sheriff's office utilizes discretion based on public safety factors. I want to know what those public safety
Sure,
factors are.
fair enough, but that's a term. Go ahead, ma'am, if you can answer.
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Are there any, let me ask you this, is there any written policies or procedures at the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office that list out public safety factors that are to be weighed against personal privacy interests when processing a FOIA request?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you utilize any public safety factors yourself looking at this request from innocent until proven guilty? Were there any public safety factors that you utilized or that you considered when processing this request?
I don't believe so.
So when you say that, so when it says here the sheriff's office the decision is based on the public safety factors outweighing the personal privacy interest, there are no weighing of balancing of factors, is there?
FOIA is all balancing.
Okay.
So every FOIA request is a balancing.
Okay. Let me ask it this way then. What considerations did you take into account when deciding whether to grant or deny this particular FOIA request? And I want to know all of them. That's what I'm looking for.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't really understand what you mean. So when I got this request, what was going through my head?
What was going through here? What you just said? Oh, there's balancing tests throughout FOIA, correct?
Right.
And would you agree the personal privacy exemption of FOIA has a balancing test?
Yes.
Okay. I want to know what things you balanced against each other to ultimately conclude that you should deny this request.
Based on what was on the request, they were looking for a large number of booking photos.
Okay.
None of them relating to each other. It didn't appear that they were representing anyone on this that would be in those booking photos.
Okay.
The request came from a P.O. box and just a corporation, no real person making the request. So I weighed that I shouldn't release it.
All right. Do you understand or take the position as the FOIA coordinator that there are personal privacy interests of mugshot photographs?
Yes.
Okay. What are those personal privacy interests?
If the person in the mugshot, their case was denied or pending authorization by the prosecutor, I don't feel that their photos should be out there for the world to see if no charges were ever filed against them.
Okay. I'd like to show you what's exhibit. Before I get into that, I guess, is there any other privacy interests that you took into account? Well, let me strike that. Let me start over again here. What you just said, was that a consideration that you did in this particular case?
Yes.
For this particular FOIA request from innocent until proven guilty?
Yes.
Okay. So you reviewed and considered what the status of the arrestee's legal status as a factor in determining what their privacy interests were, correct?
I believe, if I understand what you're saying, yes.
Okay, well let me make sure we understand each other. I want to make sure, I don't want this to be a trick. I want you to understand clearly. You mentioned that arrestees have certain privacy interests in your mind. Was what I think you just said, when charges are either pending or it's being reviewed by the prosecutor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go through and look at each of the mugshots determined that would have been relevant during this particular time frame, whether those arrestees had decisions that were pending or the decision to prosecute them or not prosecute them was before the prosecutor?
No.
All right. So there could be, in that group of photographs, there could be individuals where their case has been completely disposed of by the time this FOIA request was made, correct?
Correct.
But you didn't check one way or the other?
No.
Okay, any other privacy interest considerations did you take into account when processing this FOIA request?
I don't believe so.
All right. All right, looking at, I want to go on your, if you could flip back to the front page right there on Exhibit K, page 1. You did mention earlier, you referenced about there's an example. For example, in paragraph 4, the escape of an inmate is one example where the release of the booking photo can assist in better protecting the public at large and outweighs the personal privacy interests, of the inmate's booking photo, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were any of the individuals that were, any of the individual mugshots that were being sought, were any of them escapees at the time?
I don't know.
Did you check to see if any of them were escapees? I'm sorry?
No.
Okay. So really, the example about an escape inmate is irrelevant to this particular FOIA request. Would you agree?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to show you exhibit number K. I don't know if you're familiar with this story now. I want to ask you,
Sorry, Jay?
or excuse me, J. I'm sorry, J. Thank you. Looking at exhibit J, this was a story about an individual in Washtenaw County who had installed, I guess, peeping cameras, for lack of a better phrase, in restrooms, in portable restrooms that existed. And I'm looking at exhibit K right there. According to the article, and I'm not asking to verify one way or the other here, but according to the article, the representation I'm making to you is that these photographs came from the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office.
These top ones?
All of them, both the three in the main section as well as the mugshot photo in the picture in the body of the story right there.
I believe these came from the sheriff's office, but
Okay.
I did not release them.
Okay, fair enough. And I guess did the picture right there, that the little picture that's inside the body of the story, is that a mugshot? Is that an example mugshot at the sheriff's office?
It looks to be a mugshot.
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
Fair enough. I mean, that's what a mugshot would typically, generally look like from the sheriff's office. Would you agree?
Yes.
All right. So when you talk about an individual privacy interest before they've been charged, and while the prosecutor is deciding whether to bring charges or not, that policy is not followed across the whole sheriff's office based on this document. Would you agree?
Objection, you're calling it a policy, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Let me rephrase this. The date of this article, this individual I'm making a representation to you was arrested on September 30th, 2016. Okay? This article is dated 5 days later, in which they were seeking information. The sheriff's office was seeking information about this individual. They published the top 3 photographs. Within a day or two, the individual that we see in the mugshot was arrested and was being held in the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office. Okay, and again, these are my representations to you. Would the decision whether to charge someone or not charge someone be decided within a day or two of a arrest?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, okay. Do you have any first-hand information about this individual, about whether he was charged before it was released to the public?
I don't believe he's been charged yet.
Okay. So the sheriff's office does release photographs of individuals before they've been charged with a crime, in terms of mugshots.
Not under FOIA.
Okay. How would this photograph have been, if it wasn't released by FOIA? How was it released? If you know.
I believe a press release.
Is there any written policies or procedures in the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office to treat certain mugshots as releasable, but other mugshots as not releasable based on what law was being invoked to access those records?
I don't know.
All right, and that's fair. Okay. To be clear, did MLive or any media group ever file a FOIA request to get access to this individual's mugshot?
Not with me.
Is there anybody else who would possibly, I think you testified, you're the FOIA coordinator, would have gone to anybody else by
This
chance?
would have been a press release, not a FOIA.
If I had filed, and I'm asking you this as your FOIA coordinator, if my client had filed for a copy of this individual's mugshot the day after he was arrested, would you have, and the sheriff's office having released that mugshot to the media at large, would you have granted that FOIA request and provided a copy of it?
If the case has been charged. If the case has not been charged, we don't release anything until the case has been charged or denied.
I want to understand, where do you get that from? When the case has been charged or not charged, where are you getting that? Is there a policy? Is there a written procedure? Where are you getting that from about making that distinction?
We get a copy from the prosecutor's office of their charges or denials.
Okay. I understand that'll give you the time frame from whether charges have been authorized or not authorized. I want to understand why in your mind have you decided as the FOIA coordinator that anything before charges have been issued is not able to be released? Where do you get that from? Is it a law? Is it a
Corporate
policy?
counsel does not allow us to release anything that's not been charged or denied.
Okay. And again, I don't specifically want to know what they've told you in terms of advice, of legal advice, but it is the standing policy. I mean, the understanding that you're not supposed to release these until charges have been issued one way or the
I
other.
don't know that there's a written policy, but that's what I've been told.
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's what I want to understand. Now, this individual you mentioned, you said he has not been charged, correct? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Why has the sheriff's office opted to release his photograph if the council has instructed not to release mugshots until after?
This is a press release. This is not a FOIA request. So this would not have been released under FOIA.
So in your mind, no, never mind, strike that, I'm not gonna go there. Looking at, if we can just slide that over, just right here, I want you to reference both of those. Looking at, talking about public safety factors outweighing the personal privacy interests of an individual, you have an example here of where a sheriff's office, your employer, is releasing mugshots of individuals who have not been charged but have already been arrested, correct?
I don't believe he was arrested at the time of this.
Well, how would they have had this mugshot?
They got his mugshot after this was released.
Correct.
Someone identified him and he was arrested.
Correct. Okay, I'm talking the time frame after he was arrested. Okay, starting from that point forward. But you indicated just a minute ago he has not been charged with any crimes as of yet.
I don't believe so.
Okay. My question is that what about his personal privacy at all here? Doesn't he have, based on your analysis of the way you process a FOIA request, doesn't he have a personal privacy interest for the non-disclosure of his mugshot until charges are either granted or denied?
Objection, this isn't, she's already said a couple of times, this isn't under FOIA.
I understand. I want to understand what her thinking is on
Alright,
this.
then that objection calls for speculation.
Okay, fair enough. Doesn't he have a privacy interest that you're talking about, that this mugshot should not be released then?
No, because the identity of him, finding out who he is more important than that.
Okay. But don't we know who he is after he's been arrested and a mugshot's been taken?
He's probably, I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Do you, in this instance, you indicated that there was a concern, one of the factors you considered as part of processing and ultimately denying this FOIA request was because an entity had created it or excuse me, an entity had requested certain records that only had a PO box, correct?
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
And I want to understand, is there any sort of policy, whether written or otherwise, that treats requests from companies or entities different than say a human person?
No.
And why was that a factor in your consideration in this case?
No, there was necessarily a factor. It's just based on what information was on this request, it didn't appear that it was from a person representing anyone else.
Is FOIA, do you understand, does FOIA only require you to produce mugshots in the event that the person is being represented or there's a connection between the requester and the person that's seeking the mugshot?
I don't understand what
Okay, fair enough. The FOIA request itself, you just indicated, was
very vague.
vague, and it did not state a particular purpose for why it was seeking that request.
Yes.
Okay. Is that something you'd like to know as part of the processing and whether or not to grant or deny a FOIA request? What the purpose is?
Under FOIA, I cannot ask that.
Okay. All right.
So I have to just go by what's on this.
All right. So, so innocent until proven guilty was requesting certain mugshots, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess what I want to understand is you also indicated that whether it's a corporate entity or a human, it should make no difference in terms of how you process the FOIA request, correct?
Right.
All right. In this instance, why was the identity of the of innocent until proven guilty any way relevant to whether you granted or denied this request? You listed it as a factor.
Objection asked and answered. Go ahead.
I just went off of what was on here. It's very limited. It's a corporation. There's no real address, which doesn't matter, I guess, and it's such a huge scope of how many, there have been hundreds of mugshots. And what would they need to do with hundreds of mugshots if they're not representing anybody?
Okay. So, and I think you answered this, and I apologize if I asked you this. So, what their ultimate use of that material is relevant to whether to grant or deny a FOIA request?
Objection asked and answered.
Yes.
Is it relevant to, as part of your processing, and I'm using processing, whether to grant or deny a FOIA request based on this exemption, is it relevant that there be a established relationship between the requester and the person whose mugshot is being sought?
No.
Okay, because you mentioned earlier about, the other FOIA request was from a lawyer who was seeking something from their client's jacket, or they sought, something particular. But here, you said that was a factor in reason why you denied this request, or at least processed this request. I guess I want to understand is why is the relationship between the requester and the person whose mugshot it is relevant in any way?
We have to go by what's on here. I have to balance releasing versus not releasing information. And I didn't feel that they were going to be representing anybody in these hundreds of photos that were going to help the people that are in the photos or anyone at large. A society at large, I should say.
Is helping society at large or representing, is that those uses important in deciding whether or not to grant or deny a FOIA request?
Yes, it's for the betterment of the community.
Who establishes what are the standards for betterment of the community?
It's in the FOIA Act.
Okay. Why don't you just kind of are looking at your document? Is it somewhere in that particular document that says what the factors are for what's the betterment of society?
Probably, but I don't know off the top of my head.
If you need to take a moment to take a look at it, you're welcome to.
I think she's referring to the purpose. I don't know if it's in there honestly.
I don't know for sure.
You don't know for sure. Okay. If it was, would it be in? You think it might be in that particular
The
booklet?
betterment is it's still the balancing act. It's kind of like a term. It's for the betterment of the community. It's a balancing act. FOIA is a balancing act.
Okay. I guess what I want to understand is, and I don't mean to beat this like I'm beating this to death, But what I want to understand is when you talk about betterment of community or betterment of society, that doesn't give me very strict benchmarks for a FOIA coordinator or for a lawyer reviewing what a FOIA coordinator does to whether or not you applied it correctly or not.
Mm-hmm.
What I guess what I want to understand is what things constitute, in this case, looking at this specific FOIA request, what things did you conclude was not for the betterment of society in order to deny this FOIA request?
Objection. Badgering the witness. This has been asked and answered several times.
I don't think it's been answered, but please.
Based on what was on this, it's from very limited information on here. They want hundreds and hundreds of photos,
Okay.
none of them linked together
Okay.
to do what with.
Okay.
I can't ask them that, so I have to assume not for any good to the people that are in these photos.
Okay, so you're just assuming that then, correct?
I have to assume with all FOIAs.
Okay. Okay. Sitting here today, as opposed to then, at the time you processed this FOIA request, do you understand what Innocent Until Proven Guilty LLC is today? Have you learned who they are, what their role is, and what they're doing?
No.
Okay. Did you, at the time you processed this FOIA request, did you seek out or ask them what they were doing with that?
Objection asked and answered.
Did you?
No.
Okay. And I apologize. I may be looping back. I'm just finishing up my last of my questions here, and I apologize if I'm re-asking things. Why not?
Why not what?
Why didn't you contact them? Why didn't you call them and ask them
Because
what they were?
Well, there's no contact on here. Well, first off, it's not a phone number. So I guess I could have wrote them a letter.
Sure. Okay.
But I'm not allowed to ask someone that's making a FOIA request why they want something.
You're not allowed to ask, but you can allow to assume what they're going to use it for as a basis, then to ultimately deny the request.
Objection
Is
asked
that
and
correct?
answered.
Yes.
Okay. If my client today, innocent until proven guilty, was to file the exact same FOIA request, but the dates were for the past 2 weeks, as opposed to the dates that are in this FOIA request, would you grant or deny that request today?
Deny it.
For the same reasons you've outlined already?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
All set. Thank you. Can I keep these exhibits?
You sure can. Let me make sure I get all the originals here. I think we got M.
I don't know that you've got them all, thank you. There's 4. J, K, L, and N.
and N.
No M.
No M. Nope, I didn't
What
need
was
to do
M?
it.
Just curious.
M was just she acknowledged that they were separate FOIA. They treat them as separate FOIA requests at the county.
Isn't that in there?
So
This
you
is
want,
the county's FOIA. This is the sheriff's
I
office
see.
FOIA.
yeah. So
Oh,
I've got
same
it marked
one.
on the record, so you might wanna make a statement on the record, so it doesn't look like we're missing something.
Sure, fair enough. For purposes of the record, at the court reporter's request, I am acknowledging that only 4 exhibits were utilized today that have a somewhat different numbering system than sequential. It is Exhibit J, Exhibit K, Exhibit L, and Exhibit N.
Here's your M. Thanks.
Yeah.
Did you get any records from them live? 'Cause
Not yet. I haven't heard from them. I haven't heard a peep from them, and I actually am kind of surprised. I know usually it's going to be Robin. I suspect it's going to be Robin Luz Herman, who's the counsel for the press association. Normally she handles that kind of stuff, and I called her and I haven't heard back from her. So
Okay, I haven't got anything.
yeah. So
All right, well, thank you, we're all set. Did you, could I get a mini and a E-tran on that, please?
Sure.
and this concludes the deposition.
Oh,